I'm very honored to just bring up a video that I had the opportunity to interview one of my coaches not too long ago. One of my marketing coaches, an expert in copywriting, an expert. He's grown and sold seven-figure businesses, and the interview was really about the real estate investing space and him marketing and actually talking on national stages across the U.S. in the real estate investing space. So what we're going to do is, Margaret, we're going to switch to, just before you switch, my coach's name is Ed Rush from San Diego, and Ed's a former fighter pilot, 4- or 5-time #1 best-selling author, and has a very successful coaching and consulting business as well, and heads up one of the masterminds that I belong to. Just an all-around great guy. He's somebody that you could sit around and have a beer with or a glass of wine with on a regular basis. Some of you guys out there definitely know Ed and have worked with him in the past. So what I'm going to do is we're going to switch to that video, and then I'll be back right after the video. So enjoy this interview with Ed. Hey, welcome back. My next guest is Ed Rush. A lot of you may not actually know who Ed Rush is. So, Ed, why don't you just go ahead and tell the viewers on the show today just a little bit about who you are, sort of where you come from, and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, John. Well, thank you for having me on the show. By the way, it's an honor. I mean, my bucket list is finally complete, man, and I really do appreciate it, the opportunity just to be here and to share some thoughts with you and with your guests. My really short background: I was a fighter pilot in the Marine Corps here in the United States for about 13 years. I flew F-18s and a number of other airplanes. I left early, actually, instead of doing a 20-year career, so that I could spend more time with my family, and I found myself becoming entrepreneurial. So I started several businesses, grew several companies into the seven-figure range, which was a blessing, sold some of them as well. And now what I do, most of my time is spent either speaking to entrepreneurs or working with business owners to try to help them make more money in less time. In other words, maximize their time while minimizing expenses and help them to really increase income. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of what I do.
Yeah, exactly. And somewhere in between there, I think in conversations we had, Ed, you talked a little bit about some of the speaking sessions that you had going across the country on the real estate investing sort of seminar circuit. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience and you know, the size of some of the audiences and what you witnessed during that time?
Yeah. I spoke to just about every kind of audience. Big rooms, little teeny places in the corner of like the Radisson, and big conference rooms full of hundreds and hundreds of very smart investors. And I think I didn't really prepare this thought, but the first comment that I thought about when I thought about the real estate events that I've spoken at is like, you can hear like the Clint Eastwood noise in the background, like, you know, and it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. There are some folks out there right now, present company included, by the way, who are just doing an outstanding job, very ethically marketing real estate, being able to do very, very good deals consistently, who have a good, solid marketing system. And then and I'd say maybe that's the 20%. It's probably even less than that. It's probably more like the 4%. Then there's sort of that 80% of folks who have either just got into real estate investing, or they've been in and they're just kind of following guru after guru after guru, but have never really seen the success. And I would call that the bad. And then the ugly is someplace all over the place. And we've seen that too. If you've been following real estate investing for any time, you know, there are just some phenomenal people out in the marketplace that are teaching. I'm blessed to be friends with some of them, like John, who have great concepts, great ideas that actually work on planet Earth, which, by the way, is like a really important consideration. What I found from speaking at event to event to event is that there were some very smart, bright people who are willing to share their information on their system, and their systems worked. And that's really one of the most important things, is that they have to actually work right on planet Earth this year, like right now, working now. Because you'll hear strategy after strategy. I mean, I can think of 10 right off the top of my head that strategies that worked phenomenally well back in 1990 that do not work at all right now. And so you need to be really kind of tied in to what's working now and stuff that's actually working on planet Earth. So that's a little bit of my experience speaking. It's like the tip of the iceberg, but it gives you kind of an idea.
Yeah, and you spent a lot of time, at those, we'll call them pitch fest seminars.
Yeah.
With a lot of real estate investors and, generating a lot of sales at those seminars. Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't know how much you've been around sort of after the fact or seen the same people coming to the events time after time.
Yeah.
From my experience, and talk about your experience here in a second, but from my experience, typically, anywhere from 90 to 95% of those people that invest all of that money, and some of them invest large amounts. I mean, I invested 40,000 Canadian, so that's like $10 American into my real estate.
Depending on the exchange rate. Yeah.
Exactly. Into my investing career. So, was it similar to when you were talking on the investing stages? Did you see a lot of people investing, but really not generating the success?
Well, and there's two components to that too. And first of all, I've spoken at tons of events. I've spoken at very content-rich events, where there were just good, solid people there and very, very, very good, knowledgeable speakers that gave great content. I've certainly been to events before like you have where it's just one speaker after another, after another, after another. And there's kind of some things to think about. I usually have a litmus test when it comes to what to do and how to invest. So the first concept to remember when you're thinking about taking the next step is very simple, which is no system works. I don't care what it is, a marketing system, real estate system, management system, leadership system. No system works unless you implement it, okay? So the people who design educational materials like me, like John, create these so that when you implement them in the way that we've created you to implement them, you should see a result. You should see the success that you want. The litmus test that I typically use when I'm going into a program is I would like to personally be able to see at least a 5 times, potentially a 10 times return on what I've invested. But I know going in that I'm not going to get that without actual implementation. And that's really one of the first things. There are a lot of events where you'll see, like John, I went to a real estate event, and I don't even want to admit this, but there was a speaker up on stage who said, this is a direct quote, by the way. He was talking about using the internet, and he had everyone put their fingers up. And he said, now I want you to just tap your fingers like this. Tap your fingers, tap your fingers. Everybody tap their fingers. And he looked at them and he said, as long as you can tap your fingers like that, you can make money with the internet. And I almost fell backwards into my seat and broke my neck. It was just so out there. But there are folks who are out there who are teaching that. But the first thing is it takes actual implementation. It takes steps. Now the great news is when you have a system that works, like I talked about in the first principle, it's less steps, okay? So what I find in the coaching that I do, and I know, John, that you do the same thing, is you'll have a coaching member or someone who's bought your system who's doing 100 things. And when it comes down to it, there's really only 2 or 3 things they really need to do and dedicate their time. They're spending 80 hours a week doing 100 things, and if they only spend 30 hours a week doing the 2 or 3 things that really matter. And that's the important part about the system. And so this is the thing you have to remember about when you're interested in following information in the real estate market, which, by the way, I do this now. I actively invest in people's programs because I want to learn, okay? And so I'm not against the idea, but I'm against the idea of investing in programs where people tell you, hey, you don't have to do any work. Just follow the thing, push the button in. Yeah. It's just not true. It's like the weight loss program that doesn't involve actually eating right and working out, okay? And so the other thing that I really consider when it comes to the teacher, and this is a really important thing, is when you're looking at the teacher, what you're looking for, there's 2 ways to market any product. And one is a short-term way and one's a long-term way. The short-term way I call the pirate method. That's where you come in, rape, pillage, take everything you can, and you leave, and you're not welcome back, okay? The other way is what I call the rancher or the farmer method. That's where you go into town, you buy a small piece of property, you work the land, you provide some food in return for some money to the local people. You start to buy more land, you start to grow your assets while helping the community more. Next thing you know, you're voted into public service. You're the mayor of the town. Everyone loves you. You provided a great service, and you become rich by doing it. And so when I'm looking to follow gurus, I'm looking to follow farmers. This is the way that you can identify farmers or ranchers. Their customers come back to them again. Okay? Yeah. And so, for example, as you're watching this webcast, you're seeing people who have worked with John. That's an important consideration because the pirate method marketers who do slash and burn marketing, they will not have
customers who come back to them over and over and over again, and that's a key distinguisher.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the main reasons why I went into implementing or building a system, well, number one, it was for me. It was for my own business. Right. I needed to generate leads and opportunities. I'm an introvert. I need to attract people to me. But in doing so, I noticed that there was a very big gap in the marketplace when it comes to real estate investors. A lot of them will take the education. A lot of them will try the old school methods or try what they were taught, that might have worked 5, 10, 15 years ago, but doesn't work nearly as well in today's environment because everybody starts their searches online, or it's a very internet-based society now. It's a very social society. So, and really a lot of real estate investors are not marketers, nor do they study marketing. Right. And that is a huge advantage, I think, that I've taken, coaching with you for 2 years and some other really smart, coaches and mentors to help me streamline my system and make the messaging so good that, we're getting high conversion rates.
Yeah.
So, and I'm quite sure that, from your experience that you saw that gap was sort of missing in the industry.
Man. Well, and that's an interesting point, too, which is this. There are people who don't want to study marketing, and there are people who don't want to study copywriting. Now, John, you and I spend a lot of time learning and growing and investing in copywriting and marketing. But the fact is, that's what we teach and that's what we coach on. And so it becomes important for us to stay cutting edge and to know what's working now, what's not working yesterday. But for those folks who, for example, there's people who don't love selling. They don't really love the idea of selling. And that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. That's who you are. There's people who don't love marketing or don't like keeping up with all of the ideas and trends in marketing. But for those who don't like copywriting and don't like selling and don't like marketing, while that's perfectly acceptable, what you need to do in the place of that is you need to start following people who are on the cutting edge when it comes to copywriting, marketing, and selling. Okay? And so that's the reason why you have coaches and mentors. There are plenty of topics. The 3 that I just mentioned, I would consider, John, both you and I, expert class on. And I think we've got the financial results, frankly, to prove it. Yes. But there's lots of topics that I don't particularly really want to be on the cutting edge of. And so what I do is I simply connect to people who are on the cutting edge. That way I can get the distilled version, or like in this particular case, I can just get a plug-and-play system that's already been written the right way that I can just fall into and use and not have to make all this stuff up on my own.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I transition from just doing this for myself into helping other real estate investors. This was sort of the missing piece. So I was able to sort of package it in such a way that I could help other real estate investors by taking the system and the knowledge and everything that I've learned over the past 6 years when it comes to marketing, and help them create a system that has a proven track record and proven success and proven results. So I can help them generate more leads, opportunities, and actually close on more deals. Just from your perspective, I know that you're not a highly technical guy when it comes to all the techie stuff. So, but a lot of your business is online business. So I'm sure that you have worked with or, got into some systems with people, that people have systems that you just sort of said, well, it works. I know it works for them. And that's exactly what I need. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel.
No, in fact, I built a business that I don't currently own, but back in 2008, 2009, where I built an entire team of coaches and trainers and implementers who all they did was implement website strategy, email strategy, launch strategy on behalf of my coaching members. I don't barely know how to even put a website up. I'm sitting here just before this call, John, trying to edit some video that we've got for this upcoming event that we're going to, and the thing keeps crashing. I am not a technical person at all. However, I do know how to actually ask people and delegate things and get things done. And like you said, the system is really key. And I think this is a really important point, which is, you mentioned it took you 6 years to develop the system, which essentially means either it will take someone 6 years, if they're really fast learner and they're faster than you, say 4 years. The average person maybe 8 or 10 years to learn the skills and the system that will work in 2015. Okay, and so this is a really important consideration, because what John has is 6 years of
of implementation and learning for a system that actually works right now. And this is why this is so important. I made a rule, and I know this is your rule too, which is I decided about 5 years ago, I said, I am no longer going to work with people who are trying to be cheap on their way to success, okay? The things that John's learned and that he's implemented cannot be distilled from a Google search. Okay, you might find snippets and pieces and parts here, but you've got a marketing system that people have actually responded to, and that's one of the most important things. You do searches on Google and you look at people's marketing ideas. What you don't have certainty on is that they've sent that email out, they've used that promotion, they've had that website up, and people actually responded to it, okay? You'll have people that'll look at websites and go, wow, that looks amazing, and I'll go, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Because what really matters is someone actually taking action on your website, on your email, on your sign, on your letter, on your discussion. Those things are important, which is why if you're starting out or if you're aspiring or if you're experienced, you want to use a system that's already been proven to actually get people to do stuff, and then you can fall in on it, make it your own, maybe change the wording just a little bit to match the way that you would speak or sound, and then just continue to cash the checks and have the results.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I invest consistently with you guys is that you guys have done the legwork. It's sort of step-by-step simple for a lot of us, and we're able to draw on your vast education resources and help and everything that that the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars you guys have invested in not only your education but testing things to make sure they work properly. So I think that's a key point that a lot of people have to really grasp is to latch on or to get involved with the individuals who are seeing the success, have a proven track record, have done the testing, and actually do this business, because that's huge. From hiring just a computer programmer or somebody to create a website or something to try to attract a motivated homeowner is really not that going to be that cost effective, because one, that person doesn't even know what the pains, fears, frustrations, or ambitions of that homeowner are. They haven't been through it. They don't know. They haven't sat across the table from hundreds to thousands of people to see, what are the main 4 or 5 reasons why they actually would want to rent their house for 2 to 3 years and then sell it, as opposed to just selling it today. So I think that's an important point.
And back to the first point, and those folks, even if they do have those 4 or 5 answers to those questions, within a year the questions change. Yes. Market changes, finances changes, the financial playing field changes, real estate market definitely changes, and so the questions change, which again is the reason why you need to stay plugged in with someone who's actually doing these deals right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know I'm a little bit over on the time that you allotted for me, and I really appreciate it. Do you have any final parting words for our guests or anything?
Well, I mean, it's more of a summary, which is this. Now is just like here's the thing. There's more opportunity right now than I've ever seen in the marketplace. There's less scarcity, more opportunity. Who knows how long that will last? And so there are often times when you invest in programs, sometimes there's an urgency, like the deadline is tonight, or we're going to take this number of people into the coaching class. And those are reasons to act. But in my opinion, oh my goodness, the reason to act and to get involved now is the opportunity that's available to you. I mean, think about this. If you had the opportunity to get in on Dell stock when it first IPO'd, or Apple, for crying out loud, when it was almost bankrupt. I live here in San Diego, and in 2009, I bought the home that I'm currently sitting in. We bought this home at the bottom of the market. And I had previously sold a house, a condominium here, basically at the top of the market. I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm not patting myself on the back. It was like blind luck, mirrors, and Ouija boards, really. It wasn't those last couple things. But the point is, I didn't actually know what I was doing. But think about it. If you could go back to the bottom of the market in 2008, 2009, buy a bunch of property, and be selling it now, are you kidding me? That's opportunity. And the window right now, in my opinion, for this type of investing is wide open. And with any window that opens, think about any market, stock market, real estate market, the internet, everything, every opportunity that I've ever seen, certainly every opportunity I've ever taught, the door opens wide, a bunch of really smart entrepreneurs move in through the door, and eventually the door slams shut. And so you could be sitting here 6 months or a year from now listening to this going, man, I wish I had just taken action. So I'm not sure what the deadline is. I'm not sure what the number of people that you're taking. I know those are limited. But the reason why I would get going now is because you're going to miss out, I believe, on an incredible opportunity, and you might as well get in while the opportunity is available now before the door shuts. You have to move on to something else, or just look back and see that you've missed a really great opportunity.
Excellent. I thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you real soon.
You got it, John. Talk to you soon, man.
Okay.